Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to you. Welcome to Bayou Sports Talk here down in the Bayou, baby. We have great topics before you today. We have some things we have to talk about, we have to dive into, we have to get into the tea, baby. So, I'm your moderator, Kate. Let's start off with hollering at everybody, talking, introducing themselves, and diving on in. Go ahead, holler at them, Ray.
Oh, what's up, y'all? Y'all know, ready for episode 28. Should be a good episode. Y'all tune in.
Coach, holler at them.
It's me, Coach 66 TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boston community. Shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. For all my members of Jaguar Nation, y'all stand up. Y'all go check out my top 5 Southern University quarterbacks. The video is doing numbers already. So if you have not done so, y'all go check out my top 10. I'm sorry, top 5 Southern University quarterbacks.
All right, guys. All right. And as you see, Rue Dog is not present with us. Shout out to Rue wherever he may be. And so, guys, let's go ahead. Let's get started. Guys, you see the topics that we're going to dive into. But let's start with the first one, which you guys love, boxing. Go ahead, start us off, Ray. What are you thinking about with the previous fight that happened with what is Charlo? Tell me what your thoughts.
Well, in fact, Kay, if you don't mind, let me kick this one off. For this particular topic. First and foremost, the last big card we talked about was the Day of Reckoning card, and when we was looking forward from this particular card, if Anthony Joshua won, which he did, and my favorite fighter, the Bronze Bomber Deontay Wilder won, if the both of them won, then we was anticipating a mega showdown between those two in March. However, Anthony Joshua was real apprehensive and adamant about that particular fight. He really seemed like he really didn't want no smoke with Wilder. I mean, even in the build up to the mega card that they had in Saudi Arabia, like he seemed like he just was nervous and he was scared. And I'm like, bro, like this is your biggest adversary, even though y'all never really fought each other. Like the boxing fans have been clamoring for this fight for years. And it's like he was even scared to make eye contact with Deontay Wilder. And the crazy thing about it was Wilder hadn't fought in over a year. And he fought another former world champion who fought 4 times in 2023, and Joseph Parker. So he lost that fight. So Wilder lost, and Anthony Joshua, he beat Otto Wallin. And as a result, basically, it allowed Anthony Joshua to continue ducking Deontay Wilder. And as a result, basically, Anthony Joshua is going to fight, instead of fighting Wilder in March, he's going to fight former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. So, Ngannou and Joshua is fighting each other in March. And in addition to that, instead of Wilder fighting Joshua, now it looks like he's going to fight Chinese fighter Zili Big Bang Zhang. He's undefeated. He's doing big things. So it's looking like we're going to have a potential Wilder and Zhang showdown. In addition to that, in terms of, some of our other boxers, basically since Devin Haney, he had an excellent performance against, our local hometown fighter, Regis Prograis. Of course, Regis Prograis, he now lives in Houston. He left New Orleans after Katrina. So post Katrina, he's made Houston his new home base. So basically, ever since Devin Haney beat Prograis, no fighters in a 140-pound division seem to want to fight. I mean, the same issue Regis Prograis had at lightweight when he was at 135. He's no longer the undisputed champion. He relinquished his belts. He moved up to 140. He beat Prograis. He still can't get anyone to fight him at this particular point in time. And he was supposed to have a mega showdown coming up this spring, maybe with Ryan Garcia. But for the third time, what Ryan Garcia did was he clout chased Devin Haney, and he said he wanted to fight him. And once he got the interest for that particular fight up, basically he pivoted and he went in a different direction. And now he wants to fight someone else. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this dude is a clown. So at this point, basically Devin Haney told Ryan Garcia, don't ever mention my name again, because this is the third time you've ducked me. And basically you don't want no smoke. So essentially, as a result of him doing that, Devin Haney's dad, who I met in person at the LDBC meet and greet, Bill Haney, basically he went to talk to former undisputed middleweight champion, former light heavyweight champion, Bernard Hopkins. He's for the promotion company that Ryan Garcia is on, Golden Boy Promotions. He went to talk to Bernard Hopkins. So he talking in the arena to him. And basically, Bernard Hopkins was like, okay, let's go in the bathroom. Real men talk in the bathroom. So they walking through the arena. And after a certain point, basically what shout out to the brother Jay Good, but basically what Bernard Hopkins did was bump Bill Haney and just take off and run. And I'm like, man, what is wrong with this dude? So it's to a point like, boxing is ridiculous. They letting fighters openly duck other fighters that we really want to see fight. But the biggest news of all is, we talked about the big mega fight last spring between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. And basically, Errol Spence, he's finally talking again. And essentially what he said is, he didn't take no credit away from Terrence Crawford. Basically, he acknowledged that he got his behind whipped, but he had evidently a cataract because a few years ago he was supposed to fight. Some years ago he was supposed to fight welterweight legend Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. But leading up to that fight, he had a detached retina, and as a result, he didn't get to fight that fight. And on that same eye, I think either after the fight with Crawford, he had to have a cataract removed. So, he had the cataract surgery. And in addition to that, going into that fight with Crawford, he evidently had some type of rib injury. So maybe he had a broken rib or whatever. And I think the thing about it is, I'm a Spence fan. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. But, I said during the course of the fight, he doesn't like the same fighter. So, people came up with the different theories about the 2 car accidents, the fact that, even though he's a fighter, he doesn't live a fighter's lifestyle in terms of like partying, drinking, whatever the case may be. So basically, we were trying to figure out why he had such a poor performance. And I think the fact that now he's talking again, he didn't use it as an excuse for his poor performance against Terrence Bud Crawford, but it kind of shed light on why he might have performed so poorly. But the issue with that situation is that Bud Crawford is agitated and upset the fact that basically he feel like Errol Spence Jr. is using his rib injury and his cataract as an excuse for why he performed poorly. And I think people need to understand the difference between making excuses and a reason. In some instances, individuals are making excuses for why they didn't do X, Y, Z. In other instances, is a reason why. So I think people need to be able to differentiate the difference between an excuse and a reason. And he didn't use it as an excuse. He gave Bud his flowers. He was saying that he was the better man that night. He gave him his butt whooping, this, that, and the third. He never mentioned it at all. So now that he mentioned it, essentially Terrence Crawford is agitated by that. He's upset by that. And even though he's obligated to give Errol Spence Jr. his rematch basically Bud wants to pivot and go in a different direction. He wants to fight someone else. So hopefully this is like build up to the next fight. But knowing Terrence Crawford the way I do as a fighter, I think he's upset by the entire situation. And basically he going in a different direction. And that, that's the bad thing about boxing. A lot of times if you don't get things in writing, I don't know what their contract like stipulates or says or whatever. But the issue with the entire situation is the fact that he didn't make an excuse, say, hey, that's the reason why I lost. He said, hey, you won, you kicked my behind. But he's saying that, hey, he had a cataract. That's why he was getting hit by so many straight lefts and left hooks or whatever the case may be. And he had a rib injury. So I guess Bud feel like you taking credit away from my big win, the biggest win of my career. Like I never get credit for when I do great things. And as a result, I'm just going to go in a different direction. So hopefully it's just good build up, good promotion leading up to the next fight. But it seems as if Bud Crawford wants to go in a different direction. But back to UK, and shout out to the brother Billy Bob.
Okay, Ray, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I did see the Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou news. I guess like Francis Ngannou is like the new big. I ain't gonna say I guess Francis Ngannou is the new big hype name. So, and me knowing like Francis Ngannou not gonna be around, his name not gonna be that big within the next couple of years. So I don't blame Anthony Joshua with going in and taking advantage of this moment to get a mega fight in with Francis Ngannou. So that really didn't come as a surprise to me. I would have loved the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight, but Francis Ngannou is the new kid on the block that everybody want to try and make a mega fight with. So it makes sense. The fight with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou isn't for any type of like boxing skill. It's really just for notoriety. Francis Ngannou could box. I mean, I knew this. I knew a lot of people in the boxing community didn't, but actually watching him in the UFC, I know he's a really good boxer. And there's one other UFC fighter I'm gonna throw out there who's a very great boxer, and I want to see him in the boxing ring eventually. One day is Dustin Poirier. He's the best boxer in the UFC. He knocked out Conor McGregor, and he recently just took a picture with Terrence Crawford. So he's one of those UFC fighters where he really has a lot of respect for the boxing community and he loves boxing. He's not like a Sean O'Malley who called out Gervonta Davis, and it's obvious like Sean O'Malley wants a money fight with Gervonta Davis. It's like Sean O'Malley is a good striker, but dude, you're not a boxer. Dustin Poirier is that dude that really could box. When he trains for fights, he actually trains in like boxing. But that's just a UFC fight I would wish to see in a boxing ring. And if he does, the boxing community shouldn't be surprised if he boxes really well. Um, uh, what else with the boxing community? Oh, Ryan Garcia. I didn't hear about Ryan Garcia, and I know Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney wanted to box, but I didn't know them two went in different ways when it came to negotiating. And the same thing for Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. I know they verbally kind of agreed to fight this year, but I didn't know they was calling it off. So that's why me personally, whenever
well, I don't mean to cut you off, Raymond, but Spence had a rematch clause in the contract. So they were scheduled to fight the rematch. Huh?
They got to do it regardless?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it. That was part of the issue we were saying. We don't – basically, he feels like he didn't get his full credit. The fact that you're making these excuses now. That's part of the reason why I wish Spence didn't say anything. I think Bud feel like he's not getting his just due.
But
him
still,
and his fan base.
They still got to fight. Either way, no matter how Terrence Crawford feel, they still got to fight, right?
Yeah, they still got to fight. I mean, unless he retires.
That's like the only thing I care about. Forget how Terrence Crawford feel. You know what I'm saying? Like Terrence Crawford could be like, I don't want to fight him. Well, look, it's in the contract, so you got to fight him. So leave the tears at home.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, but I think he feel like his entire career he really didn't get the credit he deserved. So I think he feels slighted and he won't get in a different direction. The only way he really could get out of not fighting a rematch is if he just retires. And I'm not gonna lie, Floyd Mayweather used to do that a lot. He retired for a little while, fake retire, then he come back to fight somebody else to avoid the rematch if he wanted to.
That's the thing. If you want to prove everybody wrong, fight him, beat him again.
I see the same
Like,
thing.
dog, I'm sorry. I know I do. I kind of do it sometimes where I compare the boxing community to the UFC. But it's just like, dog, in the UFC, you see trilogy fights and you see trilogy fights all the time or people fight each other twice. Cause it's like, bro, if you beat a dude the first time and you like, oh, I'm better than him, it shouldn't be nothing for you to fight the dude and beat him again. So Terrence Crawford, like, dog, and it's not like it was a close fight the first time they fought. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford beat the dog breaks off of him. So Terrence Crawford, if you're really that better than the dude, fight him again. Why you female dogging about this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crying about it. Like, man, go if that dude was really that easy, do it again. And people gonna have to double down on your credit. You know what I'm saying? That they gonna
Yeah.
give you. So it's like, man, that's why, like, dog, like all that whining and stuff, like, man, either fight the dude or shut up. And what the contract say, he got to fight the dude, so he best get the training. You know, because the thing is, you could be doing all this whining, you fight Errol Spence again, and you mess around and lose. That mean he was right. He ain't making an excuse. He was giving you a just, and like what you were saying, like it's not like he wasn't giving Terrence Crawford his credit. He was giving it to him, but he was telling him like, "Hey, dude, this is why you beat me." You know what I'm saying? Like you got NFL players, NBA players, all kind of athletes who go into a competition with injuries that they'll never tell you. No, but they'll end up telling you after the season. Know what I'm saying? And that's basically what Errol Spence did. Immediately after the fight, he could have said, "Hey, I'm dealing with this," but he kept his mouth shut for so long. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, yeah, man. I agree with you. The fact that he didn't make an excuse immediately post fight, it's been 7 months. So I think he did it that way so he could get his credit and get his just due. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's some bull crap, but the kids use this phrase in my class. They use this phrase nowadays, like we stand on business. And
Yeah,
to
stand
me,
on business.
when we came up, if we said something, we want to be I want to be a man
Stand
of
on
my
your
word.
word. Right.
Yeah, and our dads taught us like, hey, if you say something, you need to be a man of your word. You need to stand on
Back it
business.
up.
And the fact that, man, you butthurt because you feel like he making excuses for, and you feel like you're not getting no credit. He's not making an excuse. Like I said, he's giving a legitimate reason why he performed
Oh,
poorly.
wait. And something just came to my mind too. My bad not to cut you off.
No, you good?
He talking about not getting his credit. What the heck that got to do with Errol Spence? It's other people, it's the audience, it's the community that gives him his credit. Errol Spence can't stop you. That's like us too. Errol Spence don't dictate whether we give Terrence Crawford his credit or not. That's up to us.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
everybody else don't want to give him his credit, that's up to them. Not got nothing to do with Errol Spence. To me personally, from the way that I see it, it's just making him look more weaker, dog. Like after he beat the brakes off of Errol Spence, I had a lot of credit and respect for him. I'm like, he's just better than him. You know what I'm saying? But now with him saying this is making me saying like, dog, like why you still emotional? You know what I'm saying? Imagine if a team win the Super Bowl and they win, then the other team come out and be like, yeah, they won because we had a bunch of injured players. You think the team that won the Super Bowl gonna feel butthurt about that?
Nope.
No, they're gonna be like, we won the freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing point, Ray. And the thing about it, like I say, to me, the fact that Spence was the clear-cut A side going into this fight, but he made so many concessions just to give the people what they wanted, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and he gave up his A side. That's like if you're a mega superstar and I'm a regular fighter, but you're way more accomplished than me. Well, I might be a more accomplished fighter, but you're a bigger star. In that particular instance, you the A side. If you make all the concessions so you can fight me, what I'm gonna do is say, you know what, bro? Like, hey, I'm gonna give you a rematch. Initially, they agreed that they were gonna fight again at 154. Now, his team was talking about hey, they want the rematch. They got to fight us again at 147 again. And I'm like, I thought y'all say y'all was gonna run it back at 154
Right.
because Spence was having trouble making that weight. In addition to that, now he's agitated that he really feel like he's not getting his just due. Like I said, hopefully it's just a good it's build up and promotion for the next fight, for the rematch, because
Mm-hmm.
the way he beat him, a lot of people wasn't interested in seeing a rematch. So
Right.
hopefully, it is just good promo and good build up for the rematch. But in my opinion, like I said, I think he's being petty with the situation.
Right.
I feel like this what you said, this what you agreed to contractually. I think you should stand on business and you should give him his chance to shake back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And in the comment section, my brother Jay Good was saying, in terms of AJ and Gano, basically is a money grab for both
Yeah.
fighters.
Yeah. It is.
So he right on that aspect of it. And in terms of his next comment, he said, I think it's build up, contracts to contracts. Fury tried to pull out the third Wilder fight, and that's what he was saying. He thinking he's kind of agreeing with me. He's saying he think it's just build up, to create some anticipation for the rematch,
Right.
because the way Crawford beat him, bro, a lot of people was not even interested in the rematch. So I think that's what it is. And salute to my brother Jared O'Lovin Green. Salute to you. Salute to Jay Good. Salute to everybody that dropped in. But back to UK.
Okay, guys. So let's move on to the NBA. Start us off, Coach. What are your thoughts?
Well, a couple of the big things that been happening in the NBA. John Morant, he got hurt. He's gonna be out for the rest of the year. In addition to that, Tyler Halliburton, star point guard for the Indiana Pacers, he got hurt also. He's gonna be out for the year. So that's a big blow to each one of those respective teams. So the Grizzlies effectively they done in terms of probably being a playoff contender. And more than likely, it's probably gonna do the same thing for the Indiana Pacers. I think the Pacers are gonna struggle without Tyrese Halliburton. He kind of brought everything together. He was making it happen for the Indiana Pacers. In addition to that, as of right now, the LA Lakers are struggling. The Phoenix Suns beat them now recently. In addition to that, the Golden State Warriors, they're another team that's really struggling. They're not even in the top 10 in the West. So if they're to play in tournament today, the Warriors wouldn't even be in it. So I think at this point, Mike Dunleavy Jr. It's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. Is he going to blow the thing up? I mean, me personally, if I was the GM of the Golden State Warriors, I'll probably blow up the Golden State Warriors. And basically, they said at this point, every player on their team is like up for trade. If you want whatever piece you want from the Golden State Warriors is willing to deal those players, with the exception of Steph Curry. Steph Curry been carrying the entire team on his back during the course of this season. Right now, the only player that is off limits is Steph Curry. So basically, kind of go to show you where the Golden State Warriors is at this point. But like that's the most like these are the most relevant things that's been happening in the NBA in terms of like overall NBA news outside of our Pelicans.
All right. Pretty next, obviously. Yeah, for what's been going on around the NBA, I knew about John Morant getting hurt, but I did not know about Tyrese Halliburton. But yeah, so the Grizzlies pretty much out of it. Which it's almost like they never really got into it. John Morant came back and they won those stretch of games, and it was almost like it was destined for them not to make the playoffs this year. But got on my Pelicans apparel. They're gonna be in my area tonight, so I'm going to that game. To check them out. The Pelicans been doing real good on the road, so hopefully Zion and Bi and just the whole team. Trigger Trey Murphy, all of them could put on a show and get back in that sixth spot with a win over Dallas today. Because them and Dallas got the exact same record, but Dallas got the tiebreak over them because they got one more conference win than them. But yeah, as far as the NBA, man, the Lakers is I don't know what's wrong with them, bro. Yeah. Um, I'll forever say this. This is just me personally. I strongly feel like LeBron should have never went to the Lakers. He should have stayed in Cleveland for the rest of his career. I could be wrong, but that's just personally how I feel. Um, but yeah, the Lakers are struggling. LeBron, they freaking change the roster every year. it's almost like insanity doing the same thing and expecting different results. I don't know why the Lakers and LeBron, because you know it's obviously LeBron too. They keep trading all these players, getting new ones, trying to find a system, and it's like, dude, work with what you got. And that's why, growing up watching LeBron, I love LeBron when he first got to Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Because when he was in Cleveland the first time, he had to work with what he had. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, bro, dog, you got AD. It shouldn't really matter too much of who you got around you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the fact that he keep trading players, switching out players, and new start lineups and all this stuff, and like y'all losing games, and it's like, bro, I don't know. It makes that bubble championship look kind of, you know, like some people kind of looked at it like they really shouldn't have got that. Like the bubble championship wasn't a real championship, and I don't know. Sometimes they be giving people reasons to think that way, but yeah, the Lakers struggling real bad. The Denver Nuggets, they whooped up on the Pels, and the Denver Nuggets still look like they're the top team in the West, but I feel like the Pelicans kind of didn't show up last night either. They kind of was struggling for majority of that game, missing some key shots. The East, there's only two teams I'm looking at in the East, and those are the two green teams, the Bucks and the Celtics, and they number one and number two. I feel like unless a major upset happens, that's gonna be your Eastern Conference Finals champion. Eastern Conference Finals series. The two teams that are gonna meet up in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's gonna be one of them. Don't ask me which one is to throw up with those two, but that's gonna be who represents the East. Who represents the West? I don't know, because I feel like all those teams in the top six are like top seven in the West. They fairly even, in most parts. But that's pretty much all I got for the NBA.
Well, just to kind of give a rebuttal to what a lot of the things Raymond was saying, in terms of the East, I agree with him 100%. I think the Bucks and the Celtics are clearly the top two teams in the East. The Bucks, they have been struggling. They've been extremely inconsistent, kind of been up and down. Whereas the Celtics was rolling along. If I'm not mistaken, I think they had the best record in the NBA. They pretty much was beating everybody. They had the most wins in terms of leading a game from opening tip to final horn. Like they had 7 of those wins where they pretty much led literally the entire game. However, those two played head to head the other night, and basically the Bucks put a beat down on the Celtics. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out when they meet each other in the playoffs. In terms of his assessment of the Lakers situation, I agree the Lakers are struggling, but in terms of LeBron he shouldn't have came to LA. I disagree 100%. Me personally, my preference would have been for him to stay in Cleveland. But once he fulfilled the promise and he brought a championship to Cleveland, I mean, the handwriting was on the wall. We knew he was going to eventually leave. I think the biggest thing he should not have done, he shouldn't have pushed for moving all those spare pieces to get Russell Westbrook. The reason being because at the point when they won that championship in the bubble, they had a deeper team. Of course, Rondo was no longer there, but they couldn't afford to pay Alex Caruso. But moving all those additional pieces like Kyle Kuzma and some of the players they moving all those players to get Russell Westbrook, I think it kind of threw their depth off. I think that's the main thing that they shouldn't not have done. And in terms of like their rotation, I think Darvin Ham, it kind of feels like he's just trying to feel his way through, and like he's just been throwing, things against the wall just to see what's going to stick. Me personally, I'll probably say maybe in about 2019, I used to like Taurean Prince on 2K with the Hawks, but truthfully speaking, Taurean Prince to me is not an elite caliber NBA player. Him, Jared Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish. Truthfully speaking, I don't think those guys are NBA starters in my opinion. Especially, like a guy like Vanderbilt. I think he should have stuck with his original start lineup with the lineup that got him the playoff run that they had last year with Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura. Of course, Rui Hachimura is hurt right now. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future. But the thing about it is the Lakers just don't have a whole lot of tradable assets. So they're at the point where they really don't have anything to move to get good players around AD and LeBron. And the thing about it is, when you have players like Jared Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish and Torian Prince, like between the three of them, some games they like have 8 points between the three of them. Some games they might have like 11 points between the three of them. So at the end of the day, like it's gonna be hard for AD and LeBron without having like role players are role players for a reason. You need to have players that really could fit what you're doing. If you took like three 3-and-D type players, two guys that are excellent defenders and that are knockdown, spot up shooters on the offensive end, like the Lakers would be a tough team to deal with, but they don't have the type of shooting offensively that would free up the kind of space that AD and LeBron would need. So for the most part, if I'm sticking Cam Reddish or I'm sticking Jared Vanderbilt, all I'm gonna do is play help side and just try to take away LeBron. In many instances, LeBron kicked the ball to those players, and the opposing defender doesn't even try to close out or even try to contest this shot. In fact, they almost dare him to shoot. So I think that's the huge issue with the Lakers. I think they need more 3-and-D type players. They need players that could shoot, players that could give LeBron and AD the type of spacing they need. I think them getting Russell Westbrook, that was a mistake from the standpoint. Not the fact that Russell Westbrook not a dog. I think he's a dog player. I think him and LeBron, they didn't mesh well together. But I think more than anything, I think they gave up the kind of depth that they had when they won that championship in the bubble. They are no longer that team, and they don't have like assets. They gave up assets to get Westbrook. So now the only draft pick they really have for the future is the 2029 first round draft pick. So they don't have players nor picks to really get to put pieces around LeBron and AD. So truthfully speaking, I think LeBron, and he really trying to wait just till the playoffs start so he could just turn it on. But I don't think he had the kind of pieces around him to say, I'm gonna turn it on and off when I feel like it. I mean, it's not like he has a Kyrie, he has a AD. He of course he has AD, but he don't have like the requisite role players for him to just turn it on and off whenever they want. Now, in terms of the Pelicans, I agree with Raymond. They struggled last night against the Nuggets. They lost, I think, 112 to 115 or 125, something along those lines. But more than anything, hopefully they could get back on a winning track tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. Hopefully they could get in the first round. I would prefer if they, got in the playoffs. Hopefully they could play the Timberwolves or the Kings, a team like that in the first round. They definitely want to avoid the Clippers, and they want to avoid the Denver Nuggets. To me, I think the Nuggets and the Clippers are the two toughest teams in the West right now. I think if the Pelicans can make the playoffs and they could get a matchup with the Timberwolves or a matchup with the Kings, I'll be satisfied with that. But because I don't want to see the Nuggets in the first round, and I don't want to see the Clippers in the first round. Back to UK.
So, guys, let's talk about the Pelicans. My goodness. I know y'all touched on it a little bit, but let's get a little bit more into detail. Coach, start us off.
Well, like I said, last night they played against the Denver Nuggets. They lost 113 to 125. Zion, he led them with 30 points. B.I. struggled last night. He only had 9. Jonas Valanciunas had 17. C.J. McCollum had 12. Herb Jones had 8. Larry Nance Jr., he gave him a little lift off the bench with 13 points in 20 minutes. Jose Alvarado, he the other spark off the bench. He had 10 points for 17 minutes. But more than anything, it's just kind of like outside of Zion, like the other big players, they kind of struggle. Like I said, C.J. McCollum only had 12. B.I. only had 9. Whereas on the flip side, Michael Porter Jr., he had 20 points. Wow. Aaron Gordon had 15. Jokic, the Joker, he had 27. Jamal Murray had 20. KCP had 11. And I mean, that's about it. I mean, but more than anything, it seemed like, the Joker and Jamal Murray, they kind of do what they did. And Michael Porter Jr., he chipped in big with 20 points. In fact, he matched Jamal Murray. And one other thing I want to point out too, a lot of people, when it comes to the Joker, I feel like when it comes to certain like non-African American players, like they really try to overhype some of these players. Uh, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Joker is a dog. He one of the top two centers in the league. He one of the top players in the NBA. But some of these players making these ridiculous statements, talking about like the Joker is like the best offensive player of all time. Man, if you put the Joker in the 90s alone, he would have been getting cooked by Dream, by Shaq, by Patrick Ewing, by David Robinson. Forget him being like the best offensive center of all time. In terms of centers of all time, he's not even in the top 5. So individuals need to get away from these ridiculous narratives in terms of somebody like the Joker being the best offensive center of all time. Dude, they literally changed the rules in the entire NBA because somebody like Shaquille O'Neal. So man, let's cut the foolishness and cut the nonsense in terms of like the Joker being like one of the best offensive center of all time. Man, come on, man, let's be realistic, man. Let's use our brain now.
Ray, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't really have too much. I kind of spoke on, the Pelicans when I was talking about the NBA, as far as like, the game last night that they played with Denver. So hopefully, the Pelicans, they could play up the par and the standards that we have for them today, since I'm gonna be there in person.
Okay, well, guys, what about Nick Saban? You retire with him retiring? What are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Ray.
Oh man, when I seen this, I forgot. Thank you for whoever.
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure people in the comments said, "God bless you too." Thank y'all too. Uh, but I forgot what I was when I first seen that, and I was like, "Man, Nick Saban retired," and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because it's not like Alabama was going downhill or anything like that. Like they was just in the playoffs,
I
but
think he's hurt because they lost.
I mean, this is not the first time he lost a game or like a playoff game or in the national championship. So that's why that kind of threw me off, because Nick Saban done lost several national championships before. He done lost several games before. It's not, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like Alabama done went 7-5 and they playing in the Peach Cobbler Bowl or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they was still was a relevant team. Matter of fact, they got better over the season because Jalen Milroe was straight dog water when they was playing against like South Florida, and they ain't scored a touchdown. But the fact that that team got to where it was, because honestly, I thought the way Alabama was playing at the beginning of the season, I thought by the time LSU got to them, LSU was gonna beat the bricks off of Alabama, how trash they was playing, but they got better. But me as an LSU fan, I would be honest, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna miss Nick Saban. I'm gonna just miss LSU competing against Nick Saban, because that's the thing that made LSU beating Alabama so great. You knew like when Jaden Daniels beat Alabama the first year he came to LSU, that's what made it so great, because not only did he just beat Alabama, LSU's biggest rival, he beat the greatest college football coach of all time. You know what I'm saying? That's what make it better. So like in the future, Nick Saban not gonna beat us. When we beat Alabama, it's like, yeah, we beat Alabama, but it's not gonna have that same feel like we beat Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? Like when you play against
Yes, Ray.
you're gonna be like, man, we beat Nick Saban. Now it's just gonna be like, oh, we beat Alabama. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that leads up to my next question, Ray. Do you think that would change the dynamics of recruiting for people
Yes,
to come
definitely.
to? Okay.
You don't even got to finish your question. I already know what it was, and,
Okay.
and that's the main thing that they're talking about. You already had a plethora of recruits that decommitted from Alabama, because it goes to show you they was coming there for it. It's not Alabama University. It was Nick Saban University. People was coming there for Nick Saban. That's why Brian Kelly said he came to the SEC to beat Nick Saban. He didn't really care about Alabama, the name of Alabama. He cared about the name of Nick Saban. So it's almost like when Sean Payton left the Saints, but that's not the same Saints team. That was Sean Payton and Drew Brees' team. Same thing with Bill Belichick. Ever since Tom Brady left, Patriots ain't been the same, and the Patriots doggone sure not gonna be the same with Bill Belichick leaving. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you got a lot of recruits that's gonna decommit from Alabama. Some of them they might go to Colorado and play for Coach Prime. You know, some of the ones that's in the South, they might go to LSU or Georgia or whatever. But man, Alabama about to go downhill. But it's not gonna feel the same with us beating Alabama in the future. Cause I'm telling you, we're gonna beat the brakes off of Alabama this year. LSU and Georgia about to be the new two powerhouses in the SEC because LSU got the top recruiting class in 2025. But yeah, man, Nick Saban had college football in the stronghold, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Now he gone.
Yeah, good points. Good points, Coach.
Uh, I'm not gonna lie, Raymond made some excellent points. But the overall like tenor of what he was saying, I strongly disagree with. I think, uh, of course, many people consider Nick Saban to be the greatest college or collegiate coach of all time. I think that could be accurate, even though he didn't have the kind of success I would expect him to have in the NFL. He is probably the greatest college coach of all time. Uh, but of course, before I even continue, shout out to Living Big with Big Red. Salute to you, bro. He said, "What's good, everybody?" Also, salute to my brother Jared Loving Green. Salute family. But my brother that's in the chat, Billy Bob, he sent me a YouTube clip like a few weeks back. Before like Alabama made a playoff run, and he basically was kind of saying something along the lines of, hey, this could be Nick Saban's last year, or if they don't win the national championship, whether they win it or not, he might not return. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I think the thing of it is the fact that the landscape of college football has changed, and the fact that you have these NIL deals in place. I think that kind of is a big factor because people don't realize, like maybe about 10 years ago, basically, like Raymond said, at that point, Nick Saban had college football in the chokehold. But I think the NIL deals have kind of leveled the playing field. Don't get me wrong, Alabama is still a perennial powerhouse. But at this point, I mean, just think about it at one point. None of Nick Saban assistant coaches ever won, like beat him head to head. But since that point, one of his assistant coaches, Kirby Smart, won back-to-back national championships. In fact, I'll probably say at this point, I feel like Georgia's on an even playing field with Alabama in terms of like recruiting and everything else. So I think that the NIL aspect of it is one thing that really kind of helped push him out the door. I think one other thing we really not considering, if I read this accurately, I think he's like 72. So at this point, I mean, unless he was like Joe Paterno, Joe Paterno said this over and over again at one point during his life. Like the only thing that really was keeping him going was the fact that he was a head football coach, and he felt like that was his purpose. And then when the whole scandal with Jerry Sandusky came down, it kind of like dampened his spirit, and then he wasn't coaching no more. And he died like after everything came out with Sandusky and everything. Like I think he died like 6 months later, if I'm not mistaken. But whereas with Nick Saban, it seems like he has other interests outside of like college football, if that makes sense. So it seems like he has other interests. And at his age, he's made a lot of money. So I think he just kind of wants to, enjoy the latter years of his life. I mean, of course, tomorrow's not promised to any of us, but at the same token, for all we know, Nick Saban could live another 30 years. So I'm not saying he's gonna like die tomorrow or anything. The point I'm trying to make is I think he has other interests outside of college football. I don't think he wants to deal with the NIL situation. He's an older gentleman. He probably, I'm sure he wants to spend more time with his family, whatever the case may be. He doesn't want to constantly be on a recruiting trail. But more than anything, from what I'm seeing, that I think, a lot of these networks, from ESPN in particular, supposedly they're trying to bring him in a college game day to be the eventual replacement for Lee Corso. Of course, they're not gonna just push Corso out. They're gonna let Corso stay there as long as he wants to. But from what I'm understanding, they're gonna bring him on. It's supposedly supposed to pay him like a lot of money. And then whenever Corso, because even at this point, Corso was only on there sporadically. I mean, it's really not even the same college game day. I don't even watch it anymore. and seemed like Fox tried to replicate like segment for segment everything College Game Day does. So it's kind of almost like watching the same show, but it's not really the same show. But the point I'm trying to make is I think whether he's an analyst, whether he works for Paul Feinbaum or ESPN or SEC Network or wherever, I think at the end of the day, I think he gonna get another big money gig, and I think he kind of wants to like enjoy the latter years of his life.
Okay, let me ask you this, and we're gonna get Ray's thoughts. But what are your thoughts about his successor, Kalen DeBoer? Coach, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, I think it was a good, decent choice. Behind the scenes, Raymond and I, we was texting back and forth in the group chat. And he asked the question, like, "Hey, do you think they'll hire Coach Prime?" And I responded to him on IG. I'm like, "There's no way they would ever consider a Coach Prime for that head coaching job at Alabama." The reason being is because they can't control him like they want to. One, second of all, is the SEC. I think the SEC's only had like what one black head coach or maybe two in his entire existence. So one, Coach Prime, the pigmentation of his skin is too dark. He's too outspoken. He's too brash. He's too probably for them. They probably wouldn't consider it confident. They would consider it more cocky and arrogant. But more than anything, they can't control him like they would somebody else. So I don't think Coach Prime would have ever considered going to Alabama. But more than anything, I don't think Alabama would have ever strongly considered Coach Prime for that particular job. But in terms of their successor, I think is a good choice. But like Randall was saying, I think to a certain degree, the fact that Nick Saban is no longer there, it's not gonna have the same impact. And like he was saying, in many instances, players go to a particular university for a coach. If Coach Prime wasn't at Colorado day tomorrow, some of those same players wouldn't even consider Colorado. The same thing with FAMU. Once Willie Simmons left and went to the University of Duke, a lot of those players decommitted from FAMU. And the same thing with Alabama. A lot of those players decommitted. I think Alabama is still going to be a force to be reckoned with, but I don't think they're going to be the perennial power that they was under Nick Saban, despite who they hire as the head coach. I mean, unless they could have brought in somebody like a Steve Sarkisian, which, of course, he's not going to leave Texas to go to Alabama because Texas has even more resources than Alabama. In addition to that, like some of the big names that they probably would have wanted, they probably can't get. Of course, they wasn't going to be able to get Kirby Smart from the University of Georgia, the University of Alabama. So some of the things that some of the players, I mean, some of the coaches that they really would have wanted, I don't think they really would have been able to get under the circumstances, unless there's a big name, another big name guy out there they really was considering. I don't see who really. It's gonna be difficult to fill Nick Saban's shoes. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, Ray, what are your thoughts? What do you think about Kalen DeBoer?
I mean, he just lost the national championship game. Um, I mean, Washington has never been a real big powerhouse or anything like that. I think it was like their first time being in the national championship game in like over a couple of decades and whatnot. So I'm not saying that he's a horrible coach or a bad coach or anything, but man, I was listening to somebody on Instagram, and Alabama fans are going to be the type of fans where it's like the first moment Alabama does anything wrong, they're gonna immediately compare him to Nick Saban, and I don't think he's gonna be the coach there for too long. It's gonna be a while. It's it's almost like when you spoil a fan base like this with Nick Saban, ain't no coach gonna be able to get peace because they're gonna compare every single coach to Nick Saban, and we live in the real world. Another coach is not gonna be able to come to Alabama and do what Nick Saban did. So the fan base, they just gonna run them out of there. The same thing with us. Like this is Derek Carr first year. Now that I'm thinking about it, Derek Carr didn't play quarterback last year. This is man first year, and we ready to run this man out of New Orleans because we constantly comparing him to Drew Brees. Dennis Allen, on the other hand, been in New Orleans for like what 3 years or 2 years. So he been there like a head coach for like 2 to 3 years. So he been there some time. But me pulling that up, the first time this man mess up, the first time they lose a game, when they get their butts whooped By LSU, I'm telling you, LSU gonna lay the smackdown on Alabama this year. And the moment that happens, they're gonna be ready to run that dude out of Tuscaloosa.
Okay. Do you agree, Coach, that LSU gonna put the smack down?
Well, a couple points. He's right. He's a very good coach. I mean, he just lost a national championship game, but you got to realize under Rick Newhouse at one point, like Washington was a powerhouse program. So, I mean, they haven't been that recently, but Washington does have some history being, a perennial like top program. Of course, it's been a while, but there was that program at one point. But the
Before I
fact
was
that
born, not in my lifetime. I never seen them as a powerhouse in my lifetime.
well, that's what I'm saying. You considerably younger than me. So, but Washington under Rick Newhouse, they were a team to be reckoned with, without question. But with that being said, I mean, just think about it. He got them to the national championship game. So that goes to show you that he's an excellent coach, without question. But Raymond is right. You don't want to be the person that succeeds a legend. And the fact that Nick Saban is his predecessor, it's gonna cause problems for him. And on one hand, but the fact that he was able to take a Washington program and built it up to what he did, I mean, the fact that you got players that was committed to Alabama that decommitted, I'm almost certain some of those players that he coached in Washington more than likely is gonna be willing to enter the portal to come to Alabama. So I think he'll be fine. But Raymond is right in terms of, fans, when you have a certain fan base, they get spoiled and they have unrealistic expectations after a while. As a Southern University fan, I could say this, some members of Jaguar Nation, some of the members of Jaguar Nation are unrealistic when it comes to expectations. Some members of LSU's fan base, they unrealistic with their expectations. And I think Alabama fans are no different. I think the fact that, I mean, just think about it, even under Nick Saban, like now, like they expected to win the national championship every single year. And I think the fact that he's had so much success, it's going to make it difficult for the next coach. I mean, even when we was talking about earlier, like the Golden State Warriors, the fact that, they won NBA championships, they left from Oakland, they essentially went to San Francisco. It's still a Bay Area, but basically it's not their original like fan base. These fans are spoiled. Their new fan base, essentially, like they expect Golden State to compete for NBA championship every year, and they're no longer that team. And they've been spoiled by the success they had in the past. So it's gonna be difficult for him. I mean, I think the fact that he got Washington there in the championship game, it kind of shows he's a good coach and he's gonna be able to navigate that. But I think to a certain degree, Raymond is right from the standpoint of, it's hard to replace a legend. So I mean, but I think based on what he did this year, I think he's gonna be more than. I think he's gonna be up for the challenge.
Okay. With that being said, guys, let's talk about the national championship. How things went? Did things go the way that you thought they would go? And perhaps if they didn't, who were you rooting for to even make it to the national championship? Let's start with you, Coach.
Well, I was happy that neither Alabama nor Texas made it to the national championship game because, truthfully speaking, I felt like it was more politics that they occupied those two spots. At least one of those spots should have been for Florida State. Even though their starting quarterback, was out for the rest of the year, I felt like one of those spots should have been for Florida State. But even with that being said, initially I picked Michigan to win. But, I was a fan. I'm still a fan of Michael Penix Jr. And when I got on my brother, who's in the chat, Jared Lovin Green, when I got on his show, I changed my position. Typically I like to stand on business. That's why I was talking about with Bud earlier. Hey, be a man of your word. But I pivoted and I picked Washington the next night on the Southern Baller show, from last week's show. So, I didn't get to watch the game as much as I wanted to because, we were having some technical issues here because, they had a thunderstorm that particular night that they played the national championship game here. so I didn't get to watch the game like I would wanted. But from what I saw, my brother Jared 11 Green and my brother Brent Fox, like they were both correct from the standpoint of Michigan's front seven. They really gave Washington a lot of issues. Michael Penix Jr. He didn't have the same kind of success against Michigan that he had the entire season and that he had in the previous game against the University of Texas. So, I was hoping he did well. He had a gutsy performance, but at the end of the day, Michigan was a better team. Hats off to Michigan, but I really wanted Michael Penix Jr. to be successful and win. And it seems like at certain points, Michigan kind of took their foot off the gas and was kind of playing with him. Like my brother Billy Bob, him and I was talking on the phone one day, and basically Billy Bob was saying like, hey, he kind of said the same thing. He felt like Michigan kind of played with him a little bit. And it just kind of shows that Michigan was the better team and, they deserved to win a national championship.
Ray, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was rooting for Washington, but Michigan did obviously show that they was the better team. This is gonna be the year of the Hardballs because the other Hardball that's coaching the Ravens, I highly believe that he's gonna win the Super Bowl this year. But yeah, like Michigan's D line, man, them dudes were stout, and Michael Penix Jr. He was never really able to get comfortable in the pocket too often. His receivers dropped some good passes, and he missed some. Michael Penix Jr. like overthrew and missed some open receivers, so he never really got it, really going. He never started cooking. You know what I'm saying? But it was a dominant game, even though I don't know if you want to consider that a blowout or not. I mean, I guess you could consider it a blowout, but you could tell Michigan was pretty dominant. I mean, yeah, they won by 20 points, so that's pretty much three possessions. I mean, 21 points, so three touchdowns. So yeah, you would consider that a blowout in football terms. But yeah, Michigan showed that they were the best team this year. They beat Alabama, and they beat Washington. So Michigan was the best team this year.
Okay, guys. So, with that being said, let's move on to the NFL, guys. And whew, guys, start us off, Ray. What are your thoughts about the NFL, the playoffs? What are your thoughts?
So my thoughts about the NFL and the playoffs. Currently watching the Houston and Cleveland game right now. I'm predicting Houston to win this game, man. CJ Stroud is my new favorite quarterback until I mean, I don't care if the Saints could get a good, decent quarterback, man. CJ Stroud is my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now. I love the way he plays the game. I love his character. I love his faith, and that I just like everything about the dude. I ain't like him. I ain't gonna say I didn't like the dude at Ohio State, but I ain't really didn't care for him at Ohio State. But now seeing him, in the NFL, I really liked him, and it also really, 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 really helped that he was my fantasy quarterback this year. So this what really made me get a liking to him. But just with him being on my fantasy, it forced me to watch him. And like when I started watching him, I'm like, bro, I really like this dude. And how I always refer to Houston, what the Saints should do. They should take the Houston route and what they did. But yeah, Saints didn't make the playoffs. Didn't come as a surprise to me. I didn't get my hopes up, not with the Saints, but with the help that they needed. We knew Carolina wasn't going to beat Tampa Bay, and even if I feel like Carolina should have beat Tampa Bay, but that stupid touchback that they had, and they missed the field goal because all Tampa Bay did was score 9 points, I believe. That would have been 10 points right there for the Panthers, but the Panthers are going to be the Panthers. And of course, the Chicago Bears couldn't beat the Packers. But the Saints do got the 14th pick in the draft. Um, they should be able to get them a decent defensive player. I see them either getting Turner from Alabama or Verse from Florida State. Those two should be good picks. But as far as the NFL and the playoffs, I got the Ravens winning the Super Bowl. And I got the 49ers representing the NFC. Um, AJ Brown is hurt. I'm telling you, Coach, I've been saying this, and I've been saying this. The Eagles are going to collapse. Yeah, you know I've been saying it. I'm telling you, the Eagles gonna collapse. And the thing is, they're gonna collapse to the Bucks. They should have been collapsing to us. But yeah, the Eagles gonna collapse. The Cowboys, I feel like the Cowboys gonna make it to the NFC Conference Finals. And the 49ers gonna do what the 49ers did to them the first time. The only way the 49ers don't beat the Cowboys is if Brock Purdy just I don't know, play like how he played against the Ravens, but the Ravens and the Cowboys not the same team. But yeah, that's how I see how the playoffs going. So it don't make sense for me to comment on many other teams because eventually they're gonna lose out, and that's why I have the Ravens and the 49ers going to the Super Bowl. And I got the Ravens, winning the Super Bowl this year.
Okay, coach, what are your thoughts?
Well, of course, I'm a huge NFL fan, but I'm not gonna lie. Like over the years, once the Saints lose and they no longer in the playoff picture, my interest is not as strong as it was when I was like Raymond's age. But you know, of course, I feel like from a perspective as a Saints fan, first and foremost, I felt like as a coach, you never as a coach do you want to rely on another team for you to make it into the playoffs. And of course, like Raymond was saying, the Saints needed either Carolina to beat the Bucks, which we knew wasn't going to happen. You needed the uh the Bears to beat the Packers, which we knew was unlikely. And if you'd have beaten uh, you know, the Packers early in the season, a game they should have won. Uh, if they'd have beat the Falcons again early in the season, or the Bucks again early in the season, if they'd have won some of these, I mean, even the Rams game, they knew from the Rams game to the rest of the season, if they just would have won out, they'd have made the playoffs, and they couldn't beat the Rams either. So that's the reason why Rams and Packers, they made it ahead of them. I was watching this one YouTube video, this YouTuber from an analytics standpoint, he broke down every major category that determines whether a team is going to make the Super Bowl or not. And according to his analytics, the two teams that have the highest like percentage of making like winning the Super Bowl is according to his analytics now, is the 49ers and the Cowboys. According to his analytics, like the four remaining teams like at the end for each conference should be the Buffalo Bills, the Ravens, in the AFC, and in the NFC it should be the Cowboys and the 49ers. And according to his analytics, either the 49ers or the Cowboys can win that game. And according to his analytics, the Bills should make it to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, you just can't go base everything on numbers. And I know he used this going back so many years, and these are like the major categories to determine if a team win the Super Bowl. And supposedly it hit on so many different categories, whatever the case may be. But my Super Bowl prediction, I'm just putting it out there early, like right now, Raymond is 100% correct. He's been saying this for the longest. He's been saying as soon as the Eagles start to unravel, he was like, "Hey, I'm telling you, the Eagles not gonna do this. The Eagles not gonna do that." And whoop, whoop. I'm not gonna lie, he been calling it, but I believe that Jalen Hurts and everybody gonna turn it around, despite what the analytics say. I'm putting it out there early, whether they collapse against the Bucks or not. I'm still putting it out there. I say the Ravens and the Eagles are my Super Bowl pick. I think if the Eagles don't make it, I say the 49ers. 49ers and the Eagles were that was an excellent NFC championship game last year. I really like that particular. Of course, shout out to the brother Jay Barr. Shout out to my brother Billy Bob. But like I was saying, the Eagles and the 49ers, that was an excellent NFC championship game. Uh, it'll be crazy if the Eagles started out so hot, with the tush push and all that, and they just collapsed and they lost in the first round playoff to the Bucks. To me, that would be so crazy. But based on the Cowboys' history, I think the Cowboys are going to choke at some point. I think the Eagles going to get it together. I think the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. I see the Ravens winning the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens and the Eagles going to play each other in the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. We'll see how things play out. We're going to see if Ram is right. If I'm right, we're just going to see how everything unfolds.
Okay, guys, let's move on to the Saints. The Saints, the Saints. Ray, I want you to start us off on this one. Tell me what your thought with the Saints with Jameson and Winston and
You
how they're trying to blame him, and this is just so crazy. They just need
can
to.
stop right there. I got it from here, bro. If I could talk,
Okay, okay.
bro, if I could talk to Shannon Sharp right now, bro, I did not like what Shannon Sharp said that this man should be cut. Are you serious, bro? Like, chill out, Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp forced that one, talking about this man should have been cut. I like RG3 response to this. Like, it's only one bad thing that you could say about this scenario, is that he went AWOL. That's it. He just didn't follow the coach's call. That's it. The coach called something, and you're supposed to do it. But it goes to show you they never did respect Dennis Allen. The fans don't respect him, and the players don't respect him. He does not have the locker room. Get this man out of here. Know what I'm saying? And like I was saying earlier, this Derek Carr first year. So even though he started playing really good towards the end of the season, so I feel like we should give Derek Carr some grace, even though we know he's not that guy. He's currently the substitute teacher. So we have to give him grace until we get our actual teacher. You know what I'm saying? Our actual replacement teacher, the actual quarterback that we're supposed to have. But that whole situation, I loved it, man. You at the 1 yard line, bro, just run the ball in. Because I remember a couple of years ago in 2011, LSU was playing Ole Miss. And LSU had the ball at the 1 yard line, and LSU kneeled it. And the Ole Miss head coach got mad at Les Miles because he kneeled the ball at the 1 yard line. So my thing is, you're gonna have coaches guys that's gonna have a problem with anything that you do. And dude, everything was 100% correct. Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns last year. 17. This man don't have man, get this man a touchdown, bro. Get that man a freaking touchdown. The score did not matter whether it's 41-49. You was getting your tail kicked, Arthur Smith, and you was gonna get fired. So it really didn't matter. It goes to show you, and even what Jameis Winston said, he said it was a team decision. They keep trying to put the blame on Jameis Winston. Like Jameis, the team, the offensive lineman had to go through with it. Everybody on the offense that was on that field had to go through with it, not just Jameis Winston. But it goes to show you why the locker room rallied behind Jameis Winston, why they love Jameis Winston. Because Jameis Winston did what DA failed to do. Winston took the bullet. That's what coaches supposed to do. In the public eye, they're supposed to take the bullet, and behind the scenes, they're supposed to get on the players. You know what I'm saying? But DA just completely threw his team under the bus, which is why they don't respect him and they don't like him. Jameis Winston took the bullet. He said it was a team choice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the offensive line had to go through with it. The wide receivers had to go through with it. It's not like they hiked the ball and the offensive lineman just stood there and Jamal Williams just ran in. No, they blocked for him, so they knew what they was doing. So I'm happy he did that. And people who disagree with him doing that, they taking it out of proportion. It's not even that serious. You know what I'm saying? Even though, he did go AWOL, he just ignored the coach's call. But, man, that's my whole opinion about it. I feel like Jameis Winston was 90% right, but that it needed to be done. And hopefully that's something that shows Gail Benson that DA is not wanted or respected and that we need to find a replacement head coach.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
Uh, Raymond and I don't agree on everything. Him and I are 100% agreement on this topic. Now, they have this other content creator. Of course, he has like way more subscribers than me. His name is Flimlo Raps. And he made a video in regards to this. And on his channel, this was my response. I was like, first of all, of course, I talked about his video, but I'm talking about, I say this as a Saints fan, I think Dennis Allen is a good defensive coordinator, but he's a trash head coach. And he should have been fired last season. Once the Saints didn't make the playoffs, he should have been fired at the end of this season. As a coach, I didn't agree with Jameis Winston not following the coach's instructions. But Dennis Allen should have stood on business and defended his quarterback and defended his team. The fact is that the division rivals, but more importantly, They are paid professionals. If they didn't like the Saints running up the score, they should have stopped them or simply played better. I feel all the Jameis Winston hate is extremely unwarranted. That was my comment in the comment section for this particular video. Truthfully speaking, first and foremost, I don't care what nobody says. Jameis Winston has had all the success he's had as a high school quarterback, as a college quarterback, and partially as an NFL player because he has a great personality. He's a charismatic guy. The guys rallied around him in a locker room. Really, truthfully speaking, I'm going to be honest with you. I think he, like Raymond said, he's more respected on this team than Dennis Allen is. And, you know, watching this video that I was talking about, basically one of the people that worked in the front office for the Raiders, she was basically saying that in terms of being a leader of men, like Dennis Allen is not, that he's trash.
I seen that video too, Coach.
Yeah, his leadership style, like basically, he's not a leader. Essentially, that's what she was saying. She was saying, in terms of this situation, did Dennis Allen lose the locker room? She was like, I don't think he ever had it because he's not that guy. I mean, there's somebody from the Raiders organization that was in the Raiders organization with him that was saying, basically, he ain't no leader. The players don't respect him. The fans don't respect him. Like I said in the comment section, he should have got fired last year because, granted, he's a good defensive coordinator, but he's a trash head coach. His game management is trash. His leadership is trash. He's not inspirational. He's not motivational. He's not none of the things you need to be as a head coach. He's none of those things. And as a head coach, like I say, he should have stood on business. He should have backed Jameis. He should have backed his team. He threw Jameis under the bus, his team under the bus. Like Raymond was saying, Arthur Smith was going to get fired anyway. You know what I'm saying? To me, I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like Arthur Smith and Dennis Allen were both some female dogs in that particular instance. You know what I'm saying? Like Rude Dog said all the time, he was acting like a couple bras, some females, you know, because first of all, if you were so worried about them not running the score, when they had the ball, why they didn't just run the ball to try to run the clock out? So the Falcons was throwing the ball. They was trying to advance down the field and do whatever. They threw an interception. The Saints returned it to the 1 yard line. All right, thereafter, the only issue I have with this entire situation is the fact that instead of them just coming out of regular formation, they lined up in the victory formation and they ran the ball. But in terms of, like, you know, the Falcons being upset, first of all, these division rivals, F the Falcons. You know, like Jimmy Graham said, F the Falcons. Jimmy Graham said this. So it go to show you even his teammates backing him on this. So F the Falcons for one. And second of all, y'all paid professionals. It's not like me as a middle school coach. Me losing 55 to nothing to one of our other schools in our district. The talent gap was like the Grand Canyon in that particular situation. But with the Falcons and the Saints, they both paid professionals. So if you don't want them to run a score, first of all, just kneel on the ball or run the ball when you're on offense so you can run the clock out. Secondly, if you don't like them running the score, stop them then. So like I said, the only issue I had was the fact that they even got in a victory formation. But other than that, everything else was fair game. Now, if he'd have been a real head coach, he would have been a real leader. He would have stood on business, and he would have said, "Guess what? Hey, I called the play to kneel on him, but guess what? They ran the ball. They got a touchdown. So that's what they did. I'm riding with them. They showed another clip of the Cincinnati Bengals in the same situation, and guess what? He backed his team and he backed his players. So as far as I'm concerned, Arthur Smith abroad, Dennis Allen even bigger abroad. I really to it right now as we speak. Gail Benson still should fire him. She should fire him. She should go get another head coach. But we already know that that Dennis Allen and Derek Carr joined at the hip. Gail Benson, she don't want to pull the trigger on that. I think she's one of these owners that's too nice, don't want to fire people. But at the end of the day, you're doing it to the detriment of your franchise. As far as I'm concerned, hey, first of all, I'd fire Dennis Allen now if it was me, and I'll bring in another head coach. I don't care whether it's Belichick, whether it's Bieniemy, whoever. That's first of all. Second of all, I'll give Jaden Daniels to be my heir apparent. I don't care if I like to give up first round pick for this year, next year, whatever. I'm getting me my quarterback of the future. And as far as I'm concerned, Dennis Allen is abroad. I think the Saints need to pivot and they need to go in a different direction. I'm not feeling him as a head coach.
Do you have anything you want to add to that, Ray?
No.
Okay, so guys, I just feel that the Saints is just spiraling, it's not just it's from the top down. So, you can't blame just one person, and I do agree what like you all say with Jimmy Graham, that he is correct. You're supposed to back your players. So with that being said, closing thoughts, coach, let's start with you.
Yeah, just to kind of cap off that topic. I'm standing on my square. I'm gonna beat this dead horse into the ground. Gail Benson, fire Dennis Allen. Just to think about it. Some of the Saints fans tried to buy a billboard to say fire Dennis Allen. So Dennis Allen, we don't like him now here. From New Orleans to Baton Rouge, we don't like Dennis Allen. We need to get rid of him. I think he really is. He the biggest issue we got with the Saints. And even though Derek Carr played well down the stretch, I don't think he'd have answered the quarterback position. I don't think we should give him grace. I disagree with Raymond. I think we should. I think we should get rid of. We should get rid of event. Well, not get rid of him now, but we should set it up to where we're gonna get rid of him in the future. Also, the brother Billy Bob said, Jameis is the fall guy. He the scapegoat in this entire situation. Why haven't the Saints released Jameis or traded him? I mean, basically, I think they holding him hostage as far as I'm concerned. But I think his contract is at the end of this year. Based on this whole situation, I mean, I think Winston could probably start somewhere else in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. I felt like he did the Saints a favor by coming back, but it go to show you he's beloved by his team. You know what I'm saying? And he said Belichick is going to the Cowboys, the Eagles, or the Chargers. If one of those teams fall, we'll see. But it was a great show overall. I'm glad we had this excellent discussion. Appreciate Kate for being with us. Appreciate Rama for being with us. It was an excellent episode. I'm glad. I hope y'all out there enjoyed. We appreciate everybody that came through. Billy Bob, Jay Barr, my brothers Jerry Love and Green, brother Jay Good. Appreciate everybody that just came through and showed some love. Also, shout out to Living Big with Big Reg. Appreciate everybody that came through and checked us out. And one last thing too. Appreciate everybody that's been rocking with day one, rocking with us since day one and supporting us.
Ray, any closing thoughts, comments?
No, I don't really have too much to close out to say. Just enjoyed the show today. I hope everybody enjoyed our discussions. We enjoyed everybody's input and their takes and their opinions. NFL season has been good so far. Looking forward to what the 2024 year boxing will bring, and the rest of the NFL playoffs, and the NBA and just everything else. So appreciate everybody for watching and tuning in. We hope y'all come back again and watch us.
Yeah, guys, and with so much going on with the NFL, NBA, the NFL has been making a lot of changes as well. So, and hopefully next week we will have a lot more to discuss. And our closing comments is persistent.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kay. I'm sorry, Kay. I don't mean to cut you off. Rama, tell everybody where they can follow you on social media.
My IG is _King Ray, followed by another underscore, and the Ray has two Y's. My YouTube is Ray Swank. Swank with a dollar
225.
sign.
Ray Swank 225, huh?
No, it's just Ray Swank.
No, I don't know. When you search it, they got another Ray Swank, and yours is the Ray Swank 225.
Oh, you about to make me go Google it. I could have swore I'd be searching myself on YouTube. All I type in is Ray Swank.
No, I'm not gonna lie. There's another Ray Swank out there. That's why I see it.
I'm pretty sure it's like a lot of Ray Swanks, man. You really got me going. Look this up right now.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, it's Ray Swank with an S, not with a dollar sign. I don't know. That might be my PlayStation Network name. I probably got a Swank with a dollar sign or something.
Well, anyway, when I searched it, it was two Ray Swanks. The other Ray Swank had something else, and your Ray Swank had 225 on it.
Oh, you talking about the @ Oh, I see what
Yeah,
you're talking about. Yeah, the @ symbol got 225 on it, but like just the The regular channel name is Ray Swain.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. You right in that aspect of it, but the 225 is what made your link and his link different in terms of when you search it. All right, and for me, of course, you can follow me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, uh, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all social media platforms. For those individuals that have not done so, I just did a brand new video in sparkling 4K. I started this new series, Southern University Top Five. I talk about my Southern University top 5 quarterbacks from the Pete Richardson era to now. So if you have not done so, go check that video out. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Shout out to my brother Jared Levin Green, who said we had a great show. Uh, we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Hopefully, y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening, blessed, phenomenal weekend. It's supposed to get cold this weekend, so everybody stay safe. We love y'all. We'll catch y'all on the rebounds. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal weekend. We're gonna catch y'all next weekend. Peace and blessing to everybody.
Okay, guys. Please like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.